Welcome, my friends, to the 107th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Mr. Justin Brooke coming in from Florida. I met Justin through a referral. Met online. Actually, haven't met in person yet. One day we will. And what a cool dude. This guy is, he's an open book. And what I mean by that is he holds nothing back. He shoots straight. But the reason I had him on is his expertise and experience in online advertising is unsurpassed as far as people I've met and spoken with personally. Since 2008, he spent over $1 million in Facebook ads. Okay, he started with a $2 a day budget and has grown that now to over $1 million that he spent. So this guy knows pay-per-click advertising. He knows marketing automation. He understands sales. He understands persuasion. He knows how to help you grow a business, which is why I invited him to come on the show. And as always, be ready to take some notes. He gets into some specifics on where you need to be spending your money, talking about display ads versus other pay-per-click. Talks about Google, talks about social media advertising, Twitter, Facebook. So these are things you need to be doing to grow your business. So enjoy this interview with Justin Brooke, who can see his breath in Southern Florida. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I got a hoodie on today. That means it's cold in Florida. I'm looking at all these pictures of people buried in their houses, man, and that's just crazy.
I saw this thing and said, all right, winter hits, and it was like a picture of Southern California, it said they're busting out the cold weather gear, and it was a dude that put socks on with his flip-flops.
Yeah, that's about it.
Dude, I don't know if it's like that in Florida. California, it's still, I've been here 10 years. It's kind of weird, man, because it's, even in the summer, it'll get, 90, 95 degrees, and it'll get down 70s into the 60s. At night, and, it's not terribly cold. 60 is not all that cold, but, like, if you're sitting around watching your kid's baseball game for 3 hours.
Yeah, it gets cold,
It
man.
gets
Your
cold
body temperature drops.
Right? But people will go to a game, and this is happening right now. So we're recording this November 19th. My son, they're in the playoffs in football. They're still playing. People will show up to that game in flip-flops, shorts, and they are wearing a quilt, or a big down blanket, like ripped off of their bed. And it's like, okay, come on.
People these days, man, they're getting crazier and crazier. Except for the listeners of this show.
There we go. Except for these people, right? Although I hope they're a little bit crazy. You're a little bit crazy, which is why you're on the show. But for those that don't know who you are yet, would you mind taking a minute or two, give them a little thumbnail sketch of Mr. Justin, and we'll go down the rabbit hole?
Yeah. The short story, and we can unpack it as much as you want on this show. But the short story is, I'm an online media buyer. I got started in technically 2005, but didn't make no money until 2007. So that's about when I say I got started. I turned $60, pathetic $2 a day AdWords campaign. I doubled my money 11 months in a row. I had a 6-figure business, and it was paid advertising that changed my life, literally, from ramen noodles to Red Lobster with paid advertising. So that's kind of the rabbit hole I went down, and I just studied it and studied it and studied it and applied. And today, I'm really blessed to have some of the top direct response companies as clients, one of the highest paid media buyers in the world now. And it's been a great ride.
Very cool. So let's jump into that, shall we? I've been seeing some of your posts. You've been in talks with Facebook. I mean, you're out there. I don't want to say like an unsung hero, but I mean, you're not like out there in neon lights, at least not yet, maybe. But I mean, you're out there getting stuff done, and I think you kind of glossed over that. One of the highest paid direct response or media buyers in the business. So, and I know even from my own standpoint, I am conversant in pay-per-click advertising, but never really gone deep into it. And I know the rules continue, maybe not to change, but they certainly evolve.
Yeah.
And I know on social media in the last year, certainly, people are waking up, right? They're like, oh, the gravy train is over on Facebook. I now have to pay to play. So is that the world you play in as well? Is Facebook, pay-per-click, on Google, and, we can jump into Bing and everything else.
Yeah. I mean, recently, over the last year or two, it's my fault. I blogged a lot about Facebook. I've talked a lot about Facebook because that's what all the clients want right now. That's what everybody wants. They want Facebook ads. And so I've kind of pigeoned myself into, a hole of, being a Facebook guy. And I don't really mind that. But, I've got ad accounts in 14 other networks. I didn't start on Facebook. And the truth be told, Facebook's not my favorite place to advertise. It's great. I love the ROI there, but it's not my favorite source of traffic. But that doesn't mean it's a bad source. So I don't want anybody to twist my words.
Right.
But yeah, so I do play in that area, and I can definitely speak to that. I've spent over $1 million on Facebook ads, and I've been doing it since about 2008 or 2009. So I've got a vast amount of experience there. So,
yeah, I mean, I want to get into that, but you mentioned 14 other platforms. I mean, we know about, and I'm just going to take a guess here, like LinkedIn or Bing or Yahoo, but I mean, maybe YouTube. I mean, I don't want people thinking they need to go advertise on 14 platforms when they're not even doing one.
Right.
But I mean, how does somebody know if they're starting out with their $2 budget, right? Or, a $10 or $20 budget a day, they have $500, $600. How do they know where to start doing paid advertising?
That's the best question. Most podcasters don't ask me that question. I'm really surprised you asked me it, because that is the best question to ask. And it's the most important question to ask because the answer really does vary between the different types of businesses. E-commerce, if you sell basketball equipment with an online store or something, you're better off doing SEO or Google AdWords. Display advertising is definitely not going to be a good route for you. But if you're a supplement company, Google AdWords is very tough for health supplement companies. There's a lot of hurdles you have to jump through. There's a lot of compliance issues. So display advertising is actually a much better format for you. So it's a really hard conversation because it changes a lot. But, you got to just think about, where are your customers? Yeah. And once you know where are your customers, are they making Google searches? Are they on Facebook? Or are they reading websites like, Wall Street Journal and Newsmax? And, they're not hanging out on social sites, but they're reading these popular online magazines. Well, if that's where they're at, then you would use display. So knowing where they're at and then knowing how to get in front of them. That's the two biggest things. And we could talk about that more if you ask me questions. My hardest part is just getting it out of my head through my mouth. So that's where I need your help.
I aim this podcast towards the entrepreneurs, maybe the smaller business owners, maybe folks. I mean, I've not spent $1 million on Facebook. I think my wife and my kids have spent $1 million buying stuff that they saw on Facebook, but that's different. Like right now, I'm going through a redesign of the site. SEO is not as effective for me lately. I think there's a lot more competition in my space. So I'm having to spend a little money here and there. So I'm going through this right now.
Right.
And I don't know, man. It seems a little daunting. Google is a little bit daunting. Facebook is a little bit daunting. Oh, we got to go into Chrome. We got to use the Power Editor, upload your CSV file, create your custom audiences, and you have your dark posts. I mean, it's just on and on and on. It's like, really? I mean, do we need to find a guy like you or a consultant or a program? I mean, because the biggest thing that I've learned about business, about sports, I'm a big golfer, and anytime my absolute worst shots come when I'm indecisive, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm between clubs. Do I hit it harder? Do I hit it softer? Blah, blah, blah. I think it's the same thing in business. We all dabble because we're not sure what's really going to work, and we don't want to just commit huge sums of money towards display advertising, right? When we should be in the other form or whatever. So how do we know? I mean, where do we start? What are even the questions to ask?
All right. Well, let me give you one piece of advice, and then I'll drill into a really good, actionable answer for everyone. The piece of advice is that if you think hiring a media buyer like me is expensive, go do it yourself and learn how much it costs to do it by trial and error. Because, you're at the end of the day, you're going to spend about the same amount of money. I've been tracking it. I don't have precise numbers, but I've been watching some of my coaching clients and followers, and then also my clients. And at the end of the day, you're going to spend about the same amount of money. Either you're going to spend it on trial and error, figuring out how to do it yourself, and it's going to take you a couple of weeks to a couple of months, or you're going to spend it hiring an expert who can get it done right away. I think that's the better route, but to each their own. And to give you a really solid answer on where to get started and a good format that just about everybody can follow is, if you have a blog, what you want to do is you want to create 5 to 7 posts that are really, really attractive to your target customer. Not your target audience, your target customer, like the ideal buyer. What are the 5 blog posts that your ideal buyer would just love to read? And then write those 5 blog posts. And then what you want to do is you want to follow a very simple format with those blog posts. Problem, agitate, solution. So I think of 5 problems my customers have. And then I write an article that discusses the problem, discusses all the problems that problem creates, and then discusses what the solution is, which happens to be what I sell.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes. And so then what you do is you just put a little bit of money, either on Twitter ads, Facebook ads, very simple ad campaign. You don't need to get all crazy with all the power editor and custom. You can get a lot more mileage out of your campaigns if you learn how to do that. But, just a simple campaign advertising to your target audience with these problem, agitate, solution blog posts. These customers actually end up thinking that it was their decision to buy from you. They feel like they discovered you on Facebook because all they saw was a blog on Facebook, which is what they're used to seeing. And then your blog magically just gave them the solution that they've been looking for. Mm-hmm. Works tremendously well.
There's always the little hidden thing in all of this, though, is the site needs to look good, right? There needs to be some way to contact you, maybe some type of lead magnet, some type of, a call to action, a web form. Is it, when I really look back, I scratch my head, how am I really in business? How did I figure all this stuff out? Because, when I'm working with somebody on a marketing project, because people say I need more traffic, and I'll look at them and I'm like, tell me about your conversions. Most people don't need more traffic; they have a conversion problem, and I'm like, let's fix your conversion issues, then we'll drive more traffic. Right. So do you get into that as well with them?
Yes, absolutely. So you're right. You don't want to just drive them to the typical blog setup where there's lots of links and, it needs to be strategically designed and laid out. So what we normally do is in the header of the blog, there is some sort of an offer. It can be an opt-in offer. It could be a sales offer. It could be a download. Whatever your objective is. For me, in my business, I need leads. I run an agency. It's not very easy for me to make a sale. It's not an impulse buy kind of thing. So all of my CTAs, my call to actions are lead gen type of things, lead magnets. So I've got a big one up there in my header. That way, no matter what page they come to my site through, what blog post they see that offer there at the top. And then I've got a big one right at the top of my sidebar, and I move my sidebar to the left, not to the right, because if you look at most of the popular websites, the sidebar is always over there at the left. And if you look at eye tracking charts, most people view a website in an F pattern. They scroll from the top left over to the right, and then they look down, and then they kind of look a little bit across in the middle. It's an F pattern. So I move my sidebar to the left. I have a big offer up there at the top, and then also another, CTA block. You call it a display ad, call it whatever you want, but there's a nice offer box just below the blog post, but above the comments. Those three areas seem to be, I've tested this like crazy. I have not been able to beat that layout.
So top, left, and what was the next one towards the bottom?
And then just under the blog post. I'm not talking about the footer of the site. I'm talking about right below the blog post and above the comment area.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Those three areas work really, really well. And then use the problem agitate solution formula as well. You can link to your offer, one or two times in the blog post. You don't want to get too spammy with it, but all of that together really drives the actions that you're looking for when they get to your blog post. And none of that other like foo-foo stuff, archives of 2 years worth of archives and all these other things that people put in their sidebars. The more you have in your sidebar, the less effective this is going to be.
Oh, gotcha. So kind of like a Google-esque approach. Keep it a little bit cleaner, a little less distracting.
Yeah, you want them to really soak up that content because that's the thing that's going to make them want to buy from you. But then you also want to make sure that it's impossible for them to not notice your offers around that content.
Right. Do you do anything like with the sliding bar that tracks, as they scroll down, or pop unders, pop?
No, that's something I've been wanting to do. I just, my developer's busy on other things, but yeah, that's absolutely my next step of what I'm going to be testing is having that sidebar offer follow them as they scroll down the page.
So you've been doing this. So started in 2005, started making money in 2007. So either way we look at it, 7 to 9 years of doing this. How many times have you changed your website?
Way too many to count, man. I think the last 2 years has been the least amount of changes. I've been doing really good at sticking to the plan, having a year-long plan, having quarterly goals in between there, and then monthly goals. And, we've been doing a lot better at, being very on track. But prior to that, I think I changed my website every couple months.
Not like a total redesign or just...
Oh, man, we used to do all kinds of things, man. From changing our whole model to changing our whole website, changing our domain name. We were just very flip-floppy.
So who's we? Do you have partners or you just have a team under you?
Yeah. So we've got a team. We've now we're about 8. Over the years, we've always been about 3 to 5, a couple good assistants. But now we're about 8 people now, and my wife, she works on the business with me, and she's been at my side since 2007. So we've been running it the whole time. It's been fun.
Yeah, what a coincidence! That's when you started making money.
Yeah, right. I just needed a little bit of help. Actually, she was a teacher. She was actually an award-winning teacher, and I kind of got upset that every morning I had to drive her to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, babe, I'm trying to live this internet lifestyle, waking up late, I'm making money in my sleep. And literally every morning as I drove her to work, I would look up my PayPal account and I would tell her how much money I made while we were sleeping, trying to convince her to quit her job. Finally, she said, okay, if you reach $80,000 a year, then I will quit, because that was like 2 salaries. Hit that number and never looked back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I noticed you're doing things like your YouTube videos, and you seem to be everywhere. Is that, do you encourage that for others? How's video working out for you?
Video's been really good, actually. YouTube has been, when I look at my sources report, YouTube is consistently one of the highest converting traffic sources for me. And I don't really know why. I've never interviewed one of those people, but I can only imagine that the reason why is because video is just a more engaging type of advertisement. And it's not ads. All my videos are content. I don't do ads really anymore. I always use content. And then with video, I always send them to a video-based lead magnet. So if they just watched a 5-minute tip video on YouTube, then at the end of the video, I say, hey, if you like this tip, I've got an hour-long video that teaches you this in much more depth. So very relative, very congruent, very high conversions from video. But, to kind of talk to the effect of being everywhere, I looked a while ago. I believe that there's no such thing as traffic generation. There's only traffic attraction, that all the traffic is already out there. You just have to know how to bend it over to your website. And so I went to Alexa. I looked up the top 10 websites. It's YouTube, it's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's Google. And so I just make sure that I'm on those 4 or 5 places. And it feels like I'm everywhere because I'm on those 4 or 5 places and everybody's hanging out.
Gotcha. So it's not like you're trying to become Google or Twitter. You just go where the traffic is.
Yep.
Yeah. Like when I had a real estate license, we'd always say 3 things. You build your house next to water with a view or in the way of progress. So like if a road or a highway is going to be built through, go out there before they start. Build your home, and then it's going to go up in value because you got in the way of progress, right?
Right.
Got out there where it was. So how do you do your videos? I mean, are you busting out a smartphone and knocking it out? You got a high dollar DSLR? Because I know I'm always trying to remove obstacles, right?
Right.
And people are, I'm not good in video, and my office isn't right, or the sound isn't good, or I don't have one of those $3,000 Nikons, So what do you say to those people?
Well, I got a little lucky, but I'll share my luck with them. My sister-in-law, she was living with us since she was 14, and she ended up going to college for video.
Nice.
For video editing. And so while she was living with us, she's actually coming back down to come visit us in a couple of days. And so while she was living with us, she would do my videos, but I really got to learn a lot. All of the videos, we ended up doing them through her camera in the end, but a lot of times we would do the videos just from a phone. And she was not at all shy about just using the phone. It took just about the same kind of quality video as her big expensive camera. It's really about the lighting, just making sure you've got some lighting that surrounds you instead of just this high beam pointing at your face or something behind you. You kind of want the light to surround you. And then a very simple background. That was the biggest thing she taught me, is the easiest way to mess up your videos is 1, the wrong lighting, and then 2, there's too much going on in the video. So it actually helps a lot if you have a very simple, very plain background.
Gotcha. So I've done some with like a bookcase behind me, but is that too busy?
No, I don't think so. I think that's fine. One of the things was, too far away, the depth of it. So a bookcase right behind you with a couple of things on it. Most people probably just tune that out anyways. But what you don't want to have is like a whole house going on behind you, and it's like 80 feet behind you that people can see, and there's mirrors and people walking by. You want a very still, very simple background.
Maybe that's why they're not converting. I'm doing it in the living room with my 7 kids, my wife, my dog. There's always like 6 kids visiting and eating and fighting over the remote control and who's doing dishes. So I should probably change that.
Yeah. I mean, I did a bunch of them right from my car. When we would drop my daughter off at daycare, my wife would go in there, and she has this habit. I don't know. When I drop my daughter off, I'm in and out of that place in like maybe 90 seconds.
Right.
She thinks it's crazy how fast I am. I'm like, well, what are you doing in there? Because she's in there. I mean, I've timed it one time. It was 23 minutes.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing in this? So I finally just started shooting my videos when she went in to drop my daughter off, and I just pull out my camera and hold it out in front of my arm, and I would just do like question of the day. Hey, this question popped into my mind. Here's my thoughts on that question. 2-3 minute video, slap it up on Dropbox, and my assistant would upload it, put an intro on it, yada yada, and there we go. That was it.
And that's funny. I see you've got one here on my birthday, April 3rd, 2013. You are in your car. You're in the passenger seat, so maybe you're waiting for your wife.
Yep.
But, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's 5 minutes, 36 seconds.
Yeah, I mean it was in the morning time, so the lighting is good. It's in the car, so the audio quality is good. It's very quiet. There's not a whole lot of background things going on. It's a good video. People like it.
That's funny. So I'll put a link there to you, but it looks like your username is what? Traffic Strategist on YouTube?
Yes.
Very cool. Because it's funny, I just went to the Infusionsoft partner conference, and last year, just for giggles, I made a few videos on the way out in my car, So now people come to expect it. So I had to make some more going out. So I'll just play some tunes in the background and make up some little ditty, but it goes over well.
It does. I know one channel. It's called Luxy Hair, Luxy, I think it is, and the wife, all they do is she sits at the corner of her bed on the floor, and she makes a video, I think, every day. But I mean, that's really how simple it is. I mean, you just need a very simple background. She has the camera propped up in front of her, and you can see in the background, it's just her bed in the background. And every day she just shows women like another hairstyle that they could do.
That's just not right, man. Women have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, they do.
So I just pulled her up. Okay, she's hot.
Yeah, that does help.
So dudes are probably watching with her on mute, and they're like, I'm not buying anything. She's just cute.
What's funny is it's her husband who's always speaking on stages at events and conferences talking about their channel. I'm like, wait, she's the star.
Look at this. How to clip in luxury hair extensions. 2,300,000 views.
They're beating big brands. Revlon. I don't really know all the other big brands, but I mean they have more subscribers and more views than some big brands do on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Simple gets her done.
I'm going to start making some Old Spice commercials, show them how I put glop in my hair and make it spiky. What do you think?
I don't know, man.
I'm in the wrong line of business, dude. That's amazing. Well, I mean, but this is a great example. There was a girl, I forget her name, I'll have to look her up. But she was from the UK. I think she was a teenager at the time and just started making videos about how to put on makeup. She just liked makeup.
Yep.
And kept it real, kept it honest, and blew up. Now she has her own product line. She's traveling the world, doing road shows and launches of new makeup and new stuff. So, just get started, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that holds people back, don't you? They overanalyze and never pull the trigger.
Yeah, they're always just thinking, the concern is they're always thinking about perfection. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing I've learned over my 9 years that it's much more about progress than it is about perfection. And that's the one thing that I constantly am trying to remind myself and my wife and my team about, is relax, guys. If we make some mistakes, listen, it's about progress, not perfection.
Right. Yeah, so I pulled this girl up here. So this video with 2 million views. So she made this in July of 2010. So it's totally different than her newer ones, right? The new ones you can tell if you got this narrow depth of field, professional video and stuff. But these early ones look like she just did it from the webcam of her computer.
Yeah.
Right in her bedroom. I mean, good grief. Just get started, people. All right, man. Well, what are some parting words of wisdom for our listeners? What do they need to go do? Imagine they're driving their car right now. Maybe they're on the treadmill at the gym. Maybe it'll be 10 minutes or maybe it'll be an hour before they get somewhere they can jot something down. But what do they need to do?
Okay, well, two biggest lessons I like to pass on is one, when it comes to the buying traffic game, when you're doing paid advertising, especially online. That's all I talk about. I don't do offline, I do online. When it comes to online paid media, the name of the game is CPC less than EPC. And what that means is your cost per click needs to be less than your earnings per click. And you can do those two formulas very easily. Cost per click is your costs divided by your clicks. Your earnings per click is your total earnings divided by your total clicks. And that's really it. I mean, if you only measure those two things, if you only pay attention to those two things, seriously, you will do better than 95% of the people out there. Most people aren't tracking anything, and the ones that are, they don't really know what they're looking at. If you can get your cost per click below your earnings per click, then you are profitable and you can buy as much traffic as you want. That's the name of the game. The other big lesson is when you buy traffic, when you do online paid advertising, the first investment that you make, let's say maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000. I don't know what everybody's budget is. Maybe it's $100,000. That first dollars that you spend, that's not how you're going to make your money. It doesn't work like that. I wish. I've been doing this 9 years, and I know guys have been doing it a lot longer than that. Nobody is profitable right out of the gate. Every once in a while it happens. Those are home runs. Those are rare. But what really happens is you spend that initial money, and you try a lot of different things. 5 different ads to 5 different segments. You're using 2 different landing pages, whatever page they land on after they click. Test a lot of stuff with that initial thing. And what you're going to do is that's your learning investment. That's your education investment. That's going to teach you what's working and what's not working. It's the second investment when you then turn off the things that weren't working and only spend money on the ones that showed that they were working. That's where the money's at, and that's where everybody's falling short, like 3 feet from gold. Everybody goes in, they spend $500, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't make 600 back. It didn't work." No, they were right there. They found out what worked, and they just needed to make that second investment.
Mm-hmm.
So, treat it like you're going to the data store more than you're trying to buy profits.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's where guys like you help people stay the course, right? I mean, you've been there, done that. There is no guarantee. I mean, even with your experience, you got to – people hate hearing this. How do I do this? How do I say? Well, it depends. You got to test it. It's like – but, I mean, guys like you – I mean, help beginners or even struggling people that have done it for a while, help them narrow down the choices, right, from 1,000 to maybe 7. Right. And because you can split test 7 affordably over the course of a week or a month or 3 months, whereas you can never get to the 1,000. And that's where people, they get overwhelmed. So I talked about before, like with golf, they're undecided, so they don't do anything.
Yeah.
So they need to get off their butt and give you a shout, right? IamScalable.com. Is that the best place to find you?
Yes. Yeah. Or, I mean, they can Google Justin Brooke, and they'll find a bunch of my stuff, too.
Okay. And it's Brooke with an E, correct?
Yes.
Justin Brooke, Brooke. Well, fresh off of your speaking gig at the Glazer Kennedy Info Summit, man, I appreciate you taking the time to enlighten me and our listeners.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, man. I will see you online, my brother. How's that for ending on an up note, huh? I love what he talks about. The first investment you make, no matter how much, $500, $1,000, whatever, is not how you'll make your money. There is no get-rich-quick scheme. There is no magic pill. I'm doing some work right now for a chiropractor, and looking at his competition and the claims these people make, it's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable that people fall for it, okay? Stop falling for gimmicks and tricks and get rich. Roll up your sleeves and do the work you need to do to grow your business, all right? Go back and listen to this. Check out the notes on thesaleswhisper.com/Justin-Brooke, and it's Brooke with an E, Brooke, to see some of the questions that I've asked him. I link out to him on Twitter, his website, his YouTube page as well, where he is so giving with his ideas and his content and recommendations. Check that out. Justin's a good guy to follow, and if you can afford him, then spend some money with him because he will take care of you. Thanks for listening. As always, your reviews, 5-star reviews, are most appreciated on iTunes and Stitcher. And then go visit 30daysalesgrowth.com, because at the end of the day, marketing is just selling in print. Okay, if you can't sell in person, if you can't sell over the phone, I don't think you can sell online, because you're just doing the same thing that you would do in person. You're just doing it in print. Okay, so check out 30daysalesgrowth.com, enter promo code podcast and save $30, and then you will have lifetime access to that program, as well as access to me through a private Facebook group where you can ask questions and get additional advice and training and recommendations. So thanks for listening, and remember to sell different.